The Punjabis are in the house and they're making a late dash to make it to the playoffs of this year's IPL. You're watching another episode of End of Days Play, and this is Uninvited Opinions. So, Nags, another interesting game today. It was really wonderful to watch. Delhi didn't put up a great total, but then Punjab, as always, like to keep things interesting and really earned that win.
Yeah, among the more straightforward wins for Punjab, if I may say so. There was no drama in the end. A well-timed wake up call for Delhi Capitals. So yes, we were expecting and hoping for a tough fight. And Delhi, the way they started, it appeared as if Punjab were going to be put under a lot of pressure. But strangely enough, although one man shone all the way right through the innings for Delhi, their opening batsman Shikhar Dhawan, strangely enough, no one else accompanied him long enough and took the mantle of scoring. And that meant Punjab actually always kept the score in check. And if you were expecting with the power hitters of the likes of Stoinis and Hetmeyer in the late order to come good in the last 4 or 5 overs, Punjab actually pulled things back magnificently. Going by the reputation, they are the team that have conceded the most number of runs in the final 4 or 5 overs. So today they actually ended up with last 4 overs giving away only 38 runs. Considering that it wasn't the tail of Delhi, it was actually the power hitting middle order of Delhi that was at the crease alongside a very fluent opener. So when Delhi actually finished with 164, I felt they were a good 20 run shot, and I believe that would have pumped Punjab up going into the chase.
Yeah, and I think poor Shikhar Dhawan, I don't think he could have done anything better today. He was batting absolutely magnificently. His teammates were struggling for rhythm at the other end. The wickets kept falling, but he just kept going. He just kept hitting it out of the park. There was the odd edge here, the odd miss hit there, but then by and large, he was just fabulous to watch. He was just really fluent, and he's scored at such a rapid pace in the last 3 or 4 games that he is now sitting, second in the run of the highest run scorers in this tournament. So, and I think this game today probably exposed Delhi's batting weakness a little more than they would have liked. So, I think the key damning statistic for Delhi was that Shikhar Dhawan scored 106 of 61 balls, and the rest of the team managed a combined total of 58, including 4 extras, of 62 legal deliveries. And kudos to Punjab for that. As you said, they bowled really well, and it was really pleasing to see Mohammad Shami nail those Yorkers again at the death. And you can see the confidence that he's carrying him from the super over a couple of days ago to come back and bowl 2 brilliant overs at the death to a set batsman like Dhawan who couldn't get him off the square. And when they started batting again, they didn't have a great start. Lost KL Rahul early. Kicked Chris Gale then for 1 over from Tushar Deshpande, took the pitch out of the equation, smashed him all across the park. But then, as is becoming a habit for Kings 11, they committed harakiri. Gale went trying to launch Ashwin into the orbit, and then they had this horrible mix-up run out. And at that point in time, you got a feeling Delhi might come back into the game.
I think at times it's good to have your regular run getters get out cheaply, because that's when you know what the metal is underneath. And I felt if Kings 11 are to come out victorious, it will do their confidence a lot of good, because they would have done so without their regular run scorers coming to the fore again. So it meant that today, that 1 over of power hitting by Gale meant that the asking rate was not challenging going forward. As it is, we felt Delhi had fallen at least 20 runs short of where they should have been. And also, if you take away that 1 over where Gale scored 26, that actually leaves with 115 or so to get of the remaining 90 balls when Gale got out. So the middle order actually could spend some time and need not have panicked. So that gave enough time for even the likes of Maxwell to play himself in. And then there is a charismatic player in their middle order in the form of Nicholas Pooran. The more I see him, the more I fall in love with the way he bats. There is an absolute Caribbean charisma there. He's for a man of small stature, small build. The ball striking he does is unbelievable. I think today he goes past Sanju Samson in the tally of sixes in this tournament, and he also has the longest recorded 6 in this IPL. So for a small man, that actually says a lot. Although he was not his fluent best when it came to running between the wickets, he took the initiative regardless of the wickets falling at the other end, and that meant Maxwell could just settle in and then launch himself into a couple of shots before he eventually got out. So that meant when the likes of Huda and James Neesham came into the crease, they didn't have much. And in spite of all the jitters that the camp would have had when those guys came, and when Huda was dropped in the penultimate over, I thought they still clinically finished the game. So full marks to Punjab, and I think the whole team as a whole is peaking at the right time. So it couldn't have gone any better for Punjab.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think two players made a real difference. You mentioned Gale, who scored a 29 runs of just 13 deliveries. And Nicholas Pooran as well, the 50-odd runs that he made, it came at a strike rate close to 190. So I think those two batsmen, the Caribbean giants, if I may call them, in that batting order, essentially made the chase easy for the rest of the team today. And I think Delhi didn't bowl badly, except for Tushar Deshpande, who probably had an off day. The rest of the bowling was actually quite good. And, if they had probably a little more runs to play with, they would have definitely created some more challenges for Kings 11 batting today. But as a viewer of the tournament, I'm now really excited. This win puts Punjab fifth on the table. I think last week they were languishing at the bottom with just 2 points. Now they're up to 8 with a much improved run rate. So, it's an interesting phase.
Yes, it obviously augurs well for the tournament, how open it has now become, and how the 4 playoff spots, none of them are so far guaranteed for qualification, including the top 2. The game also had some interesting talking points when it came to selection. So Anrik Nokia was replaced by Daniel Sams for Delhi Capitals. So we could understand that's probably just to give a breather to Nokia, who's been going non-stop since the start of the tournament. So that was kind of justifiable. But what I did not understand was what the change that Kings 11 made, which was to replace the bowler who had bowled the super over 2 nights back, Chris Jordan, replacing him with James Neesham. Although it didn't cost them, James Neesham actually did contribute both with the bat and the ball. So that's fine. But I don't see a strong enough reason for them to do that, unless there was a niggle that Jordan was suffering from.
Yeah, I don't think it was very clearly explained why Jordan was benched today. And I think even though Kings 11's death bowling was good today, I think they're still light on death bowling, and I'd like to ideally see Jordan back in that side in place of James Neesham. So, who's your pick for the player of the match? Do you go with the commentator's choice of Shikhar Dhawan?
Not really. I mean, there was a huge gulf between the number of runs he scored with compared to any other batsman in the game. But I'll still go with Nicholas Pooran for the impact he had in the chase. Although he accounted for Mayank Agarwal's wicket, but I think he more than made up for it with a squashbuckling 50 of his own.
Absolutely. I absolutely loved watching him bat today. I think of the second ball that he faced, he scored an exquisite cover drive off Ravi Ashwin. And that just raced to the boundary. And I was hoping that, that was going to lead to something special, and it did. So I'm really pleased for Kings 11 Punjab. And let's hope they create some more upsets over the rest of the tournament. Looking at tomorrow's game, we've got the Royal Challengers Bangalore facing off against the Kolkata Knight Riders. And what do you reckon is going to happen? Do you think KKR have another heist in them?
Yeah, looking at the way they've been stealing games of late, it's very difficult for me to basically do any logical prediction. But I think if RCB get their batting order right and don't commit harakiri there, I think they still are a better team on paper compared to KKR. And purely on that basis, I'll still lean towards RCB.
Yeah, I think probably RCB's team at this point in time, overall, both the batting and bowling combined seems, in terms of present form, seems better rounded than KKR. So, yeah, I agree with you. That's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you like our videos, please like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to our channel to keep more videos coming your way. And as always, we'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, see ya.